Good morning. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Thursday's Early Morning Intuitive Guidance. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum, here with some words of wisdom for our day, and we are actually going to be building on what we've been working on for the last 2 days, which I was kind of surprised. I thought the universe would perhaps have us do a card in between here, but we are finishing up the second to last chapter in Taking the War Out of Our Words. So, good morning to whomever just popped on. Glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. The Art of Powerful Non-Defensive Communication by Sharon Ellison. And good morning, Gwen. Welcome. I actually had to run and take my Zyrtec before we started because I'm like, oh my, I want to pop out this eyeball and rinse it out in the sink and pop it back in. The joys of allergies. But it was so beautiful here yesterday that of course, I wanted to be outside, so sometimes it just catches up for a bit in the spring. So I think it's going to be overcast today, but and a little less warm. But I need to go get a haircut, and she is roughly a mile from home, so I'm going to walk and get my haircut today. Good morning, Carolyn. Welcome, welcome. Everyone's starting to roll in. Good morning, Joe Neal. Welcome, welcome. Popcorn for breakfast. Fabulous. Fabulous. It is a good thing. It is a good. See, I'm doing the same kind of behavior with my grand dog. So my daughter will be sitting in the other room and she'll go, "That's enough, Grandma," because she can hear him chewing on things. Good morning, Bobby. Welcome, welcome. Glad you are here. So first thing is, I'd like us all to rub our hands together and just put up some good energy, some prayers. Good morning, Cindy. Welcome, welcome. For all the people who are struggling today. I have a friend in the hospital with pancreatitis, so let's send her some good energy. Obviously, Judy had her shoulder surgery yesterday. Let's send her some good energy. Anybody who's struggling, suffering, etc., let's just send them some good juju. Good morning, Mel. Welcome. Glad you're here. I have not heard from Judy since her surgery. My guess is she's pretty out of commission. The one-hand hunt and peck thing, maybe. So, and they might have her a little sedated because shoulders are not fun things to mess around with. So hopefully within the next day we will hear how she's doing. Got to keep our practical rebels on the mend and healthy and good and all that stuff. So let's start with a little bit of tapping. I just feel the need for some tapping. So good morning, Carolyn. Side of the hand. And I think we're just going to do like a general flush. Let's see what we get. So, even though there's all this stuff going on, I choose to be happy. Even though there are difficulties in life, I accept them as part of the process. Even though I have some feelings that are uncomfortable, I invite them in and sit with them. Inside corner of the eyebrow. I am willing to live life fully. Outside corner of the eye. And that includes the difficult stuff. Under the eye. I believe it all serves a purpose. Under the nose. An intimate part of my personal growth. Good morning, Abigail. We're just doing some tapping. Under the mouth. Therefore, I am ready to receive my life experiences. Collarbone. And I will do what's best with them. Under the arms. I am open and alive. And around the crown of the head. And I appreciate everything about my life. Nice deep belly breath. Let it go. And there we are. So, again, taking the war out of our words, the art of powerful non-defensive communication, finishing up the second to last chapter today. And then we'll see what the universe decides, if we just forge right ahead into the conclusion or if we take a break and the conclusory, that's not a word, concluding stuff is next. That would be a good word, though. Maybe I'll come up with that one. All right, so we are on page 259, for those of you who have the book. And we have a part here about dealing with someone who interrupts the flow of a group interaction. Good morning, Chrissy. Glad you are here. Welcome, welcome. So the naysayers, the ones who sigh and they're bored and they're just not participatory. I mean, if you're a teacher, you deal with this often. But sometimes if you're leading a group for church or wherever, there's that one person who's just kind of a disruptive influence because they're not hooked in and involved in participating. So let's see what we have for options here. Interrupting the flow of group interaction. This same process, because yesterday we were talking about how Katie was going to deal with the guy in her group who seemed to be making a pointed effort to blame her for having violated a confidentiality, and she knew it wasn't her. The same process can also be applied in the classroom. One student sitting in the back of the room, sighing, yawning loudly, or reading a newspaper, let's change that now to on their cell phone, can disrupt the cohesiveness of the class and also injure the instructor's confidence. The instructor can speak to students directly about such reactions. Are you bored? When you yawn and sigh loudly, what kind of effect do you think that has on the whole group? I find that your behavior distracts me, and I'm very conscious of your energy, dampening my own enthusiasm. I often feel compelled to draw you into or figure out what's going on for you. I don't want to have your seeming lack of interest affect the whole class, so I wanted to bring it up and deal with it directly. If you continue to act bored, I will not focus on it so much. If you decide to participate, I will welcome that. When someone disrupts the group process and we do nothing, even though we are bothered by it, we may be withdrawing to escape, not having to address it, good morning, Joe Bell, or worried about how it will go if we do address it. Everyone feels the impact to one degree or another. One person's antagonism can affect the gestalt of the whole atmosphere. Have you ever had that happen where things are going along swimmingly and someone walks in the room and it's like, oh, don't be that person. Likewise, if a student is asking sarcastic questions to prove a point, I would ask a direct question, perhaps followed by a prediction. Good morning, Joe Bell. I don't know if I said good morning to you or not. Good morning. So here's how she would handle that if someone's kind of baiting her with a question. Do you want my answer, or are you asking the question sarcastically to prove me wrong? If you are genuinely curious, I'll be happy to answer. If not, I'd rather you just explain to me directly why you disagree, so I can respond as accurately as possible to the issue you are concerned about. Dealing with one or more individual students openly often can easily solve the disruption problem. They become more conscious of their own behavior. I have seen students switch quickly from sarcasm to openness and genuinely participating in learning once the interruptive behavior is addressed directly. Good morning, Deb. Glad you're here. Let's see, depending on how disruptive or how old the student is, I might state that I will not focus on this behavior if the student remains negative, or I might ask the student to leave until he or she can be present without interfering with the class interactions. An entire class can shift to being more engaged when a teacher deals openly, gently, and firmly with one disruptive member. So again, you're not yelling at this kid or going, get to the office. You're dealing with it directly. You have a choice here. You can step into participation or just be quiet, but not okay to be disruptive. So here's one that I call the ER syndrome, okay? The naysayer in any group. Oh, it's gonna rain today, you know? And the Tiggers in the group go wild over the Eeyores in the group because they're so happy and excited, and here's this person icking on their wow. So the naysayer in any group. We can also deal effectively at home and at work with the naysayer who shuts down a problem-solving process or a brainstorming session by suggesting that various ideas won't work. We may be planning an outdoor wedding for our daughter and one family member says, we'll get rained on for sure. There's the rain. We may be deciding where to locate a hot tub in the backyard and hear a comment such as, everybody will be tracking into the house wet. I have a friend who calls such people the doom, gloom, and pestilence crowd. I call them the Eeyores. Whatever works for you. For some reason, we give such pessimists a great deal of power to impede the creative process. Either we drop the idea or we expend effort to convince the naysayer that it will work. Such people can kill the joy of planning any event or project. You can deal directly with such negativity by asking questions. Do you believe there is any way we can plan for this and make it work, or do you think it simply won't work? Then they'll have to put out there what they're thinking. Are you aware that you often immediately respond to ideas with a strong negative reaction? I actually had my former administrative assistant point that out to me. When she'd come up with ideas that were changing a routine I had, I often reacted, So what we came up with, what I figured out for her was, suggest something, give me a while to think about it, and then we'll talk about it. And that often worked because I could go, yeah, why not do that? That would be okay. So we had to come up with a plan for how we were going to address that. Depending on how the person responds, we can then express our own thoughts and make predictions. The following example has several predictions along with the statement. I hear you are having mostly negative opinions about any idea we suggest, and then I tend to shut down and get depressed and feel like giving up. I want to be able to hear about potential problems and still keep a positive spirit about coming up with good ideas. So I want to change how I react when you say something that negates an idea. If you want to tell me what specific problems you see, then I'll listen so that we can address the problems and make the plan work or come up with a better idea. If you just want me to give up the whole idea, I'm not willing to do that automatically unless most of us agree that some other idea is better. If you stay negative, I won't try to convince you to agree. I'll just focus on talking with others who want to find positive solutions. If you contribute positive ideas as well as negative ones, I'll be glad and will feel more open to what you have to say. Frankly, I suspect that if you focus only on why ideas won't work, you'll feel more depressed and defeated. I think you'll feel better if you focus more on what can work. Again, another prediction. Having such a conversation with a person whose negative energy puts a wet blanket on projects can also free up everyone else and relieve them from being sucked into a depressed person's energy field. And when we get sarcastic with them, okay, gloom and doom, it's our way to push back, but it usually isn't very effective. It oftentimes alienates that person from the group and really doesn't help them see their behavior and the cost of their behavior. So if we can, kind of like she is doing here, and I'd probably truncate it, make it much shorter, but at least put that out there. It's disruptive to me in the creative process when you're only telling me what isn't going to work. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what will work. Put them in the position of offering that up, what it is you're looking for. Okay. A person's non-defensive dialogue with one other individual can change the entire group dynamics. Yes, yes, yes. It enables us to keep our own authority rather than become disempowered by the group's weakest link. So now we're going to read this last section of this chapter is A World of Opportunities. Gotta love that, right? Gandhi once suggested that anything we do is simultaneously unimportant and vitally important. I believe that each interaction is a microcosm of a whole relationship. If we react to a current incident in ways that are based on old, unproductive habits, that response may not matter so much because another opportunity to change will come along soon. On the other hand, if we do make a significant change in our patterns of response, our actions will matter a great deal because it could change the whole relationship. The part can change the whole. So hopefully you find that stirring enthusiasm to neutrally address some of these things that have gone on for a long time, right? People's patterns have been annoying us for a long time. Here's opportunity. We have countless interactions from which to choose opportunities to practice becoming non-defensive. We can practice with or without other people's cooperation. We may practice sporadically, putting in more effort at some times than at others. We may use the process and think we are being non-defensive when we're still trying to get the other person to cooperate. We're not going to be perfect at this, right? We may accomplish the goal of opening our heart even if our words aren't completely non-defensive at every moment. Take a whack at it. We can just do our best. That's about it. For me, becoming a non-defensive person is a lifelong practice. Our whole family practices. Manza and I, our daughter Amy, her husband Jesse, as well as others in our larger circle of family and friends. Our interactions are increasingly rich, but it doesn't mean we have no conflict. It means we have the capacity to resolve conflict. Instead of feeling alienated, we usually come through it feeling stronger and closer. So now she's going to pick an 80s movie to use as a reference here. So most of us will probably have seen it. The Breakfast Club. I enjoyed that movie. The Breakfast Club provides a powerful example of what can happen when each of us openly reveals more of our experience. In the film, a diverse group of students, characterized as a brain, an athlete, a basket case, a princess, and a criminal, were put in a room essentially without supervision for one day as part of a disciplinary Saturday school. Left to their own devices, the students began the day by expressing animosity, judgments, and accusations toward each other. But they gradually shared, yes, absolutely. They gradually shared their experiences and pain. They came to understand and care for one another, and the day became a transforming experience for each of them. They learned firsthand what Henry Wadsworth Longfellow meant when he said, "If we could read the secret history of our enemies, we would find in each person's life sorrows and suffering enough to disarm all hostility." In one of her college papers, my daughter wrote that the burden of understanding is compassion. And since most of us fear the burden, we narrow our vision, not realizing that we are entrapping ourselves. The only way to free ourselves is to accept the burden. When we are in power struggle, we see openness as dangerous and avoid it, thereby missing the understanding, compassion, and freedom that can come with it. As we practice being non-defensive, we can accept this challenge to be open. We can become more fully integrated and secure, have deeper bonds of intimacy with others, and fulfill our own creative potential. So that's that for that part today. And our conclusion is going to be peace and power. And we'll see if that's for tomorrow or if that's going to be down the road a piece. But love this stuff and getting us to think about it and be willing to test drive it a little bit. Okay, so if I own up to feeling hurt by what someone else says, but I can deliver that message in as neutral a tone as possible, and I can maybe make some predictions, ask some questions, etc. Perhaps we can heal this communication. Being willing to be the one to take that risk takes some guts. Takes some guts. Yes, peace and power. They are not mutually exclusive. Yes. So, what are your thoughts on this? Throw some things in the feed. What are your yeah buts and what ifs? Because sometimes when we're looking at making a change to something that feels so entrenched, it's kind of like, I don't believe this can work. Yeah, but what about blah, blah, blah. So put them out there. Let's have some discussion about that. That would be great. Good morning, Cheryl. Glad you are here. We are done with the video part. Yes, this stuff is really good because it's so out of our wheelhouse. It is not at all how we've been taught to deal with stuff. If we look around now at how people are dealing with conflict, it's so divisive, so negative. And for one person to be willing to say something neutrally, even just the question, I'm wondering if you're thinking whatever, brings that person into conversation. Hopefully it kind of catches them up short. Oh, you want to know why I made that snarky comment? Yes, it is almost like a foreign language. So practicing is good. You know, even that's why I love this book, because she offers the vignettes. She gives us the words she would use or others used in those circumstances. We can then modify those words to suit ourselves. But having the words to me is so important, so helpful. So that's your practice for today. Wander out into this fine Thursday, find some opportunities to practice neutral questions, statements, predictions, and let's see what you get. Remember, you're capable of far more than you think you are. Oh, and by the way, I'm in the process of getting my birthday special ready to roll. I had a couple people reach out and say, "Aren't you doing a birthday special this year?" Good morning, or thank you, Chrissy. Go ahead. Yes. Yes. Good. Absolutely fabulous. Thank you for posting your comments. That's good. My birthday special will be posted one of these days. I got to get it together, but should be going out in email form either today or tomorrow, and then we'll see about getting it on Facebook, etc. I actually handed it off to my amazing VA, and she's going to take care of some of those pieces today if her daughter cooperates with her trying to get work done at home. So, nothing like a 2-year-old. So, see you again tomorrow. Remember, you're capable of far more than you think you are, including learning this foreign language of communicative possibility. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.